Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that help you to get unstuck and unleash what you were born to bring. I chat with heart led experts, I ask the questions that you're already thinking, and explore conversations that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and help you show up fully in life and at work. So today we're exploring this concept: exhausted by excellence, embracing good over great. And this conversation is worth your while because we're living in a time when perfectionism and self judgment are taking a real toll on our well being, on our relationships, and even on our economy. So, if you've ever felt unseen or out of step with what you're supposed to want or do, then this episode will help you feel validated instead of ashamed for being true to yourself. And honestly, why would you want to wait to feel good about who you are and the life that you're living? You deserve that now. So I'm your host, Linda Bucher, and honestly, I have the best job in the world because I get to help impact-driven humans like you to get unstuck and unleash what you were born to bring. That is my superpower. But here's the thing, for decades, I tried to live life like everyone else thought I should. You know what? It left me stuck. It left me frustrated. I felt like my gifts were just like waiting. And that's when I made a choice to stop chasing someone else's version of success and start stepping into my own. But that journey didn't just change my life, it became my mission. And now I get to do the work I love, helping impact driven humans like you to break free from the stuff that's holding you back so you can step fully into who you are and bring your brilliance into the world. Because you know what? Your gifts matter and it's time to share them. So if you're ready to stop holding back and step fully into who you are and unleash what you are born to bring, come say hello at lindabucher.com. There's a whole lot of goodness waiting for you there. All right, so let's dive into today's conversation. Exhausted by excellence, embracing good over great. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by an expert on this exact topic, Heather Campbell. Heather is a speaker and the author of Good is Amazing, Stop Over Striving, and Celebrate Being Enough. And Heather is making beautiful ripples in her unique way. She makes people feel seen, feel heard, and feel celebrated through her book and through her speaking and in everyday life. So, Heather, thank you so much for being my guest today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited to have this conversation. It's such good stuff we're going to
Yeah.
share. I love it. So, before we start with our conversation, can you just tell everybody a little bit more about who you are, what you do, who you serve, how you're making your unique ripples in this world?
Yeah. It's funny when people ask for your introduction and usually people throw out titles. I've had weird titles, by the way. I've been in charge of synergy. I've been in charge of alchemy. People
Mm.
asked if I wore a magic hat. I didn't. Um, all of it, though, has been about, back to what you said, making people feel seen, heard, and celebrated. I've been incredibly lucky that I've been rewarded for inviting people in. And whether it's in a corporation like ESPN, whether it's in my community, whether it's through a company that I founded, I basically invite people in and then I give them a framework or structure to help them see, guess what? You're important here. You can be a part of this here. You can be helpful here. You should feel good here.
Mm.
Um, So that's the throughput of my life. That's the theme that's gone. And within it, I decided to write a book about a part of it.
That's so super cool. And I'm sure we're going to touch on some of those concepts that you're an expert in as we talk. So, all right. So, we've decided our title was Exhausted by Excellence,
Yeah.
Embracing Good Over Great. So, that's two
Mhm.
parts. So, let's start with the first part. Let's talk about this exhaustion of
Mhm.
excellence.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to start with letting you share, maybe a story or, whatever you want to say about this exhaustion. And then I'll share a little bit and let's keep going
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you touched on it in your story. Like your story, it shows this and illustrates it beautifully. It's funny, as we were getting ready for this conversation, I got a text from a good friend. And she regularly will text me and say, I just need some Heather time. And what that means is she wants to go to O Cafe in New York City and sit across from me and admit that she is tired.
Mm.
She is running around. She is trying to make great things happen, and she needs to take a breath. And while I hear it a lot from friends who are women my age, have jobs similar to the jobs that I've had, I'm hearing it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing it from, I've got kids one who's about to go to college, one who's in college. This idea of they want a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Could I spend a summer where I'm not getting an internship or working towards something, or I have fun? We are in such this linear upward, 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 go, go, go. People need to take a break. People need to raise their hand. There's when you look at the industries that have been created in relatively recently based on our history, the wellness community, the self-help, self-care, people are tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for me, it's been hard to admit that. It's been hard to admit. I just was talking with a doctor and they said, how many hours do you work a week? And I'm like, define work. We need to look at it. I
Yeah.
needed to look at it. And like I said, friends raise their hands to me all the time.
Yeah.
Can we just sit down together?
Yeah. So I did live that. I was 45 years old, and it wasn't just like when I think about it, yes, there was an exhaustion there, but what was really causing the exhaustion is my actions were not in alignment
Mhm. Yeah,
with my soul, my purpose, my
right,
being, right? So
right.
what happens is when we're out of alignment, but our egos want to like prove like we have this. I'm not good enough. That's what's
Yep,
really happening
yep,
underneath. I'm not good enough, so I have to prove myself
yep.
to the people, and it's different for everybody. It could be a parent, a peer, a sibling, a
Mhm.
boss, whatever, but or a partner. But we're trying to prove ourselves, and that I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, I'm this enough, I'm that enough,
Yep.
and even though the way like we never need to prove it, so we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. Let's not talk about that quite yet, but we feel in that need to prove, this is where we're finding where this perfectionism and this striving is happening. And I remember um climbing that corporate ladder and then going, oh my God, this ladder is leaning against the wrong building. I don't want to be on the roof of this building. I
Right.
don't I don't want to join a country club. I don't want to have a bigger, better this, that, and the other thing. That is not important to me. And I
Yep.
actually wrote, and I have it as a free ebook on my website, but redefining success for who you are. Really, it's called
Yep.
Success on Your
Yep.
Own Terms. Because I
Yep.
was like, wait a minute, I'm chasing someone else's definition of success. Chasing is exhausting, and
Yes.
out of alignment is exhausting.
Yes. And it happens all the time. So I took a friend, chosen family, when she was trying to look for colleges. And so she wanted to see the University of Wisconsin, which is my alma mater. So I took her. It was, fabulous, fabulous, fabulous trip. The beginning of the trip, someone said, what are you going to major in? And she said, oh, I don't know. By the end of the trip, she was going to be an international business major. Why? Because she had been asked so many times. She is trying to live up to an expectation of complete strangers. These
Mm-hmm.
people are not going to decide her admission. She is never going to see these people again. But by the end of the trip, oh, I'm going to be an international business major and I hope to focus. Like, no, you didn't know what you wanted. And we weren't in conversations where she all of a sudden this was lit up and ignited in her and she found her calling. She just knew that she had to play the game and give an
Right.
answer.
Oh, exactly. I work a lot with young adults, and they feel pressured to have that answer. They're
Yep,
asked when they're in high school, "What are you going to major in?"
correct.
And then what's different is that their parents, my generation, we weren't trying to find work-life balance. We were just trying to find a job, and at that time, we were trying to find a job that we could be at for 35 years that had
Right.
good retirement benefits. And then these kids see their parents, they see who I was at 45 before I made the big leap to trust
Right,
myself. and
right,
they're like, wait a minute, I don't want to be you. I don't want to be exhausted all the time. I don't want to be running around, like, because parents were always like, driving, everybody here, there, and the other place. We're trying to get a meal on the table. We're working our own jobs. We're trying to, and there's just no balance. And they're like, you want me to like the last thing they want to do is be us. So
right.
this is why this younger generation wants to stay at home a little more because they're so unsure and they don't want to go in the wrong direction until they're really sure. Now what they don't get is you become sure by moving. So they don't
Right.
get that part yet. But they know they see us and they're like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that generation.
There's
Fear
also
exhaustion.
right. The exhausting part is that constant inner conversation about, is this right? Is this the right thing to do? Am I doing the right thing? Is this gonna, guess what? There's very few perfectly right answers. There are definitely some wrong answers. There's some things that are wrong, and you know it. And guess what? Let go of those things. But it's not so much that this is the absolute right, it's that you can make this work. Like, do
Hmm.
you want to make it work? And guess what? If you don't want it to, when my kids were in middle school, we had career day.
Hmm.
And so all the parents come in. Funniest part to me was a fireman came in, full fire outfit. I looked at him, I'm like, oh, come on, that's cheating. Really? Like you win, you're the fire guy.
Yeah.
Um, but again, great to ignite ideas. Uh, I went in and I talked about, here are all the jobs I quit and why I quit them.
Mm.
You get to quit jobs. People don't talk to you about that, but you do. As an adult, you do have to take care of your needs, foundational needs, roof over your head, food in your belly, health insurance, because we live in the United States. Um, but other than that, you get to decide. You get to decide what kind of roof, you get to decide what kind of food. And if the going to work, I once had a job, and as I walked in, it was a revolving door. And I walked in and I went to push the revolving door, and my hands were like fists, white knuckled fists. And I opened them up and I thought, oh, that's not good. That is not good to be walking into a job at 8 in the morning with your hands clenched already. And I called HR and I quit that day.
Yeah. Yeah, my story was I also had like a physical response. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we had to listen to these physical responses. My physical response was neck and back pain. Like I couldn't sit for more than 5 minutes. I had to get up and move. I couldn't sleep for more than 15 minutes without having to wake up and move. My digestive system was a mess. They wanted to take my gallbladder out because it was only working at about 25% capacity. And if I think of those in terms of metaphors, like I could not digest life, right?
Yes.
I could
Yes.
not support my back and neck, support all the
Yes.
weight
Yes.
I was
Yes.
carrying as a single mom of three kids, because my husband had died when they were 3, 5, and 7. So now I'm singly raising them, working full time, climbing this corporate ladder, trying to get up these rungs. And my body was just like, that's enough. And that's what we want to listen to. People forget there's a huge mind body connection.
Yes.
So when you think about experience, like if you just sit quietly and you go, okay, if I think about going to work, what I'm doing at work or who I'm seeing, each one of those little components, and you check with your body, you'll know exactly what's wrong for you. And I
Yes.
love that you brought up the jobs you quit, because that's what it takes to be brave enough to choose yourself in your health, your physical health, and your mental health.
Yes.
So there's a quote, I think it's by Anais Nin, and she says, um, "the when the bird goes out on the limb, not because it trusts the limb not to break, but because it trusts its wings to fly."
Yes.
And that's what I did at 45 years old. I was a single mom of three kids, making a really decent living in Buffalo, New York, very decent. And I was like, I'm done. I'm out. This is how can I be a good example for my children if A, I'm sick and I can't take care of them, and then I'm teaching them, you hate it, but suck it up, buttercup. They don't want to know that. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to be that. So
Correct.
I quit my job because I trusted myself. I'm like, well, when I was 22 and, fresh out of college, I had a piece of crap car and I didn't own anything but clothes. Like, so, but
Right.
look how far I've come. I was younger and stupider then. I'm older and smarter now and experience. I can do this. I can
Yeah.
do this. I trusted myself. And so
Yeah.
for anyone listening that you're pursuing this excellence and you know it's eating you alive, you feel out of alignment, you get to choose you. And yes, it's scary, but you can trust yourself. Like that's the thing you need
Absolutely.
to know. You can trust yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to go interview for a company when I was at NYU. Got a call from McKinsey, the consulting company. Like this is the holy grail of MBA. And I said I didn't apply for the job, and they said, "We know we got your resume through someone else. So we just need to gather some information so you can come in and interview." And I was like, "Okay." And they started asking me all these questions, and the questions were, what's my GPA? What's my major? I'm like, I don't know. And all of the questions they were important to them weren't important to me. And we made the appointment. I hung up the phone and I went to pottery. I'm a potter. I make pottery.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And so I go to my pottery class and I can't center. So I'm on the wheel, think
Mhm.
that ghost movie if you don't know anything about pottery. Um, I can't get the clay to center for the
Mm.
life of me.
Metaphor alert.
I mean, like hitting me in the head. And I just sat back and I called them back and I said, I am so flattered. I am so flattered. This isn't the right job for me right now. And there are amazing students here that you should interview. By the way, maybe it'll be the right job for me sometime in the future. I hope you will take my call then if I call you back. But for right now, and I couldn't even tell anyone because if I told my fellow classmates that I had said no to an interview at McKinsey, they would think I was stupid,
Yep.
but it wasn't
Yeah.
right for me.
Right. Yeah, I get it. And you know what? I got a lot of flack when I quit my
Sure.
high-paying job as a single mom. How irresponsible can you be, Linda? I got some flack. And I just had to move past that and trust myself that I could do this.
Right.
So, what I really would like to do for our listeners today is them, give you, I'm talking to you, listener, validation
Yeah.
that we get that when you're out of alignment, it's exhausting and it has long reaching tentacles that are not good for anybody. Um, and give you permission to want what you want and not want what you don't want. And
Yes.
acknowledgement that you are enough and you have what it takes to make this change. Now, it doesn't mean you just have to go out and quit your job tomorrow or jump out of that relationship tomorrow, right? It does take, some planning, but just knowing you have permission, give
Mhm.
yourself permission to want what you want, to know that you're enough,
Yeah.
right? So
And
let's,
you mentioned, Linda, the interconnectedness before. Um, it is all connected. So the decisions you're going to make over what kind of roof over your head, think about those things. My husband and I, at one point, we were living in New York City. We were two 40-year-olds. We were, salaried, making money. We thought we should buy an apartment. Like that's what we're supposed to do. But I didn't want to have a mortgage. Like that scared me. That made me feel unsure, unsteady. But that's what you're supposed to do next. You're having kids, you buy an apartment, you buy a house, it's not necessarily right for you. And as you're saying about planning, if you have done those things or if you are in those situations, it creates responsibilities. What responsibilities are you needing right now? And you get to, again, permission, validation. You get to decide. Just because everyone else around you is buying a three-bedroom house, if you want to play a little bit more in what you're doing, don't buy the house. Play.
yeah,
Be you.
yeah. And And a lot of people get stuck in this compare and despair when they
Yes.
believe that they're supposed to be comparing themselves with the other people. It's
Yes.
because other people will judge you when they don't understand.
Right.
And so if you think you can avoid judgment, you can't because you have no idea what's going on in someone else's head. But most people judge for two reasons. One is they don't understand, they can't put themselves in your shoes, so they just assume you're doing it wrong. And two, the people who are the most judgmental, they're judging themselves every single day, and you do not want to be in their shoes. Trust me, because that what you hear come out of them is the overflow of all the stuff that they're already judging themselves about.
Right.
So so you know, when someone's like not understanding, like, why would you do this? Why would you not, like, why don't you own a home when you give your kids some support or stability or whatever? Like, you should own a home, you should have a yard, you should have a whatever,
Right.
like they're going to tell you the shoulds, right? That's their shoulds. It belongs to them. And the more you listen to them, the more out of alignment you're going to be. And then the less happy you're going to be in your life and the less effective you're going to be as a wife, a husband, a partner, a sister, a mother, a father, a worker, right? All these people deserve the best of you, not the, exhausted, freaked out of alignment you, right?
Yeah.
So to be of service in your world, in your community, in your family, to be of best service, it's you've got to align with who you are.
Right.
So I want to start talking about embracing good over
Mm.
great.
Yeah.
Really want to talk about that in the few minutes that we have left.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I think this has been something I've thought of all my life. I know that it started and really hit home when I was a sophomore in college. My mother called me, something horrible was happening in the world. She's very upset. And she called me to ask me to be president of the United States. She asked me to
I love that.
promise that I would become president of the United States to fix whatever, And it was this really crazy moment where my mom is having this breakdown and she was not serious, but not serious, but serious. Um, and I had this moment of, she's asking me to be president of the United States. What do I think about that? Yeah, no, no, I have no interest in doing that. What do I want? And I was like, I want to be happy and healthy. That's what I want. That's where what it is. And in order for me to be happy and healthy, I'm looking to reach good and to celebrate that,
Hmm.
to recognize that, um, I've talked about a little bit going to NYU. When I decided to go to NYU, that was a hard decision for me to go back and get my MBA. Like that wasn't obvious, that wasn't clear, that wasn't the like, oh, obviously Heather will go and get. When I decided, I celebrated. Like, look at that. Good job. This was hard. I celebrated. When I started to look at what schools and apply and figured that out, I celebrated. We don't have to wait to, get, and I juxtapose it with another friend who wanted to go to law school, but deciding to go to law school wasn't a joyous thing. That was like, oh my God, now I've got to really buckle down. Almost got a perfect score on the LSAT. Well, that isn't something to be excited about because now I really have a chance of getting in. Got into Harvard. Well, really, now I have to buckle down and whoa, like, why? Why are you not happy and excited and celebrate? And that's what I choose. I guess within all this stuff too, it's a choice.
Hmm.
I choose to to focus on good over great. And that doesn't mean like if you've got something great that you want to do, awesome. Go for it. I'm all for it. But what are the good steps along the way
Hmm.
that you are going to look at as milestones and celebrate? How do we, uh, again, part of this is I'm greedy. I am greedy. I want health and happiness every day. I want it every day because it feeds me. It's that dopamine effect. It's that building positivity, not toxic positive. I'm not talking about being happy all the time. I'm not happy all the time. But in my choice to go for good and celebrate those moments, it's been pretty wonderful.
Yeah, it's a different way of living. It really is. So I love that you're saying, look at your little milestones, the little things in life. When you celebrate them, this is why it's important because our life is a series of moments. And when we look back at those moments, how we experience those moments is how we say our
Mhm.
life was. So when
Yeah.
I'm 96 years old, right,
Mhm.
what do I want to say? I want to say life was good, which means I need to find good in every moment now, in as many
Yes.
moments as I can. So, yeah, life was really good. I want to be able to say that. So, in this moment, what's really, really good? So,
Yeah.
that's really an important thing that you brought up. So, thank you for bringing that up. And I want to also mention that um, we're giving people permission to want what you want. And so, when
Mhm.
you were saying like health and happiness, I call them my top 5 non-negotiables, and I have all my clients that I
Yeah.
coach find your top 5 non-negotiables because those non-negotiables are non-negotiable in every aspect of your life. They're your non-negotiables for relationships. They're your non-negotiables for your career, right? And if they're not what all the other people want, that's okay. That has no bearing on anybody else because it's your top 5. They belong
Yes.
to you. And so, like as a entrepreneur, solopreneur, right? I'm supposed to want to grow my business to X amount of figures, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But and there's other coaches with the identical schooling credentials, master certified coach like I am, who are doing it. And we're all doing the exact same thing. Like they're not a better coach than I am, but the difference is they want 7 figures and I don't. I'm like, that's not in my top 5 non-negotiables, right? So if
Yeah.
you're a solopreneur and you're thinking you need to keep up with, you're supposed to want something and you just don't want it, right? Or like I also see there's a lot of people who work a lot of hours. When I quit my full-time job, and after 25 years basically of single motherhood of raising my 3 adopted children, and one is like a little saint, the youngest, she makes up for the other two. They're awesome now. They were teenagers. I was like pulling my hair out, right? And I was exhausted, not only by being in the wrong career, but exhausted of all the self pressures I had put on myself as a single mom, right?
Yeah.
So when I quit to become a coach, I decided this is part time, this is not full time. I decided that balance and freedom are in my top 5 non-negotiables. So as soon as I start overworking or overstriving, I feel it. And I'm like, darn, why am I doing this? And it's not like I need the rest of the day to do something else. I'm like, no, just go take a walk or whatever.
Yeah.
It's more like going by feel. I've given myself permission to go by feel. I've given myself permission to not want 7 figures.
Mhm.
Because I don't like, as a matter of fact, money is not my currency. Impact is my currency. Helping other humans is my currency.
Love that.
Right?
Love that.
You got to
Yeah.
find your own currency and you've got to be good with what you want. So let's start with one small action item. You can go first that someone can do right now if they're exhausted by this striving to excellence and how they can just embrace good over great in a very small way because I want to give small steps here because I know, listener, you're just going to go on to the next podcast episode, which I hope is my podcast. You can learn some really good stuff. However, before you do that, if you just take small steps, you can change your life. Knowledge is not enough. Like, how many books have you bought that are like shelf help, right? Oh, I read it, I put it on the shelf, and you didn't do anything, right? So you're listening to this podcast. You don't have to tell anybody about it. I hope you do, but you don't have to. You just internally what you've learned, but do something.
Yeah.
So, Heather, what's one small action someone can do?
I love this. Action is so critical. It's what actually makes all the changes. Um, can you think of one thing that makes you happy, that gives you joy? Small thing, not like going on vacation or winning an award. For me, I've got three that I think of regularly. One is buying flowers. When you buy flowers, you walk around, people smile at you. You smile at them for smiling at you. They smile back at you for smiling at them. It creates this beautiful dopamine. I buy cheap flowers, by the way. My favorite time of the year is March and April. Trader Joe's has daffodil stems, 10 stems for $1.79. It's like they are paying you to buy sunshine. So can you think of it? Do you know something? What gives you joy? Then you got to do it. Just go do it. And again, for me also, one of the things that gives me joy, sitting in a cafe, drinking a cup of coffee, reading a book that is not teaching me something. I'm not taking notes. I'm not learning. It's like, just sitting there and being there. So can you pick something? Can you think of something? Then you got to go do it. And then the last piece of this is pat yourself on the back. Good job. That's really great that I did something today that makes me happy. That's not selfish. That is so giving. If you take time to make yourself happy, truly happy, foundationally happy, you are giving so much to the world by doing that.
Amen. Absolutely. Woo! Love it. Absolutely love it. And I'll just add something that's kind of a fun little thing. I had one, I put this up on a bulletin board at a coffee shop once, and it was your permission slip to be who you are and want what you want. And then it had like I cut the bottoms, and it's just like, I have permission, and you just could tear it off and just take it with you. I have permission. I have
Love it.
permission. I have permission. So just think about giving yourself this permission slip. You have permission to want what you want, don't want what you don't want. Be who you are. Don't be who you aren't. Okay.
Yep.
And you don't have to tell anybody about it. This is like an internal thing. Any journal starts with this an internal, um, I would say intention. Okay. So the intention to be like, I want to discover who I am and what I want. Because that's what a lot of times most people stay stuck because they don't know the answer.
Right.
Right. So I've got a bunch of questions I throw out there. I put them in worksheets, whatever, help people to answer the questions. And they are questions like, what makes you happy? So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
I'll say, what lights you up?
Yeah.
What lights you up? But like to go one thing deeper. Why? Because the answer of who you are is found in the why.
Yeah.
So we always go one deeper as a coach. So anyways,
Love it.
thank you so much. This has been such an awesome conversation. I've enjoyed it so much, Heather. So thank you so much for being my guest. And so I see in the background, you've got your book pinned up there. Good
Yep.
is amazing.
It is
Can you,
amazing.
tell us a little bit more about if someone wants to be like, you know what? I think I would be willing to give up perfectionism. Like I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Yep.
And it's like always recovering because sometimes I slip back into it. Nope. I am good enough. But how can someone get the book, or if they want to talk to you, what could they do?
Sure. So the book is available online. Go to your favorite place to buy it, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Goodreads, whatever you would like. You can also reach out to me at my website, Heather A. Campbell, Campbell, like the soup, no relation, .com. I'm holding You Are Amazing parties. It's the stories in the book it's not about me, it's about you. It's about how you can use these to validate what you want in your life. So I've been holding parties and inviting people who are amazing and asking them to invite their amazing friends. I'm doing one in Portland in a couple of weeks. I've done a couple in New York City. So you can go to my website and find out more about me and what I'm doing and how to reach me.
That's awesome. I love that concept because you are amazing. I am amazing. Every listener listening, you are amazing.
Yes.
We're all amazing. And if we just let ourselves know it, the world will change.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Once again, I'm Linda Bucher, and I'm on a mission to inspire and impact millions of people to get unstuck, to know their worth, to share their gifts, deliberately creating big, beautiful ripples in this world. So if you're ready to finally get unstuck and get the most out of your life, head on over to lindabucher.com. It's a really great first step. And if this episode sparked something in you, be sure to like it, Subscribe to the podcast and share it with someone that you care about. And then come back next week for another honest, uplifting conversation to help you grow. So until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.